Hi, welcome back to our second half of the session from Search World. I'm your host for this afternoon, Clarice Lin. I'm very excited to bring on with me today Atiba de Souza, the CEO of Client Attractions. He's an award-winning marketer who has been featured on many renowned platforms, including Traffic and Conversion Summit, Affiliate Meet Mart, Founders Board, Digital Marketer Blog, Fox and USA Today, as well as top-tier podcasts like Marketing Inc. podcast by Ali Bloyd, Digital Marketer podcast, and Chasing Insights by Vince Warnock. When he's not geeking out on the latest SEO principles and AI trends, Atiba is a man of God, husband, father, and Instagram food influencer in the Washington, D.C. area. So I'm very excited to bring him on today because he's going to talk about AI prompt engineering. So if you guys have not been trying out ChatGPT yet, but you have a lot of questions, remember to put it into the comments later. He'll be happy to demonstrate to you how it's going to work out. And if you have any problems that you've encountered, feel free to ask him as well, to leave it in the chat section, because he's going to talk all about from AI prompt engineering to customer engagement, the evolution of effective content. And if you participate actively today, you'll be rewarded by the knowledge partners, Mark and Manning, for the most active attendees who rate the sessions and leaving comments in the section with free ebooks. So this is very exciting. So let's welcome him, Atiba.
Hey, thank you, Clarice, first and foremost, for that wonderful introduction. And hello to everyone. I'm so glad that you're here with me, with us today. Not sure what time it is in your time zone. It's morning for me. It's like 7:45 a.m. for me. So it's great to start my morning with you. If it's your afternoon, hey, hope you've been having a great day so far. And Clarice, you said something, and I want to make sure I hone in on this. Number one, I didn't know that there was an award for the most active participants. So I want to help you win that award. So first and foremost, let's start here. If you're listening right now, go ahead and put in the chat, have you used any AI tools? And specifically, have you used Chat GPT? So if you've used AI tools, go ahead and put tools in the chat. If you've used Chat GPT, put Chat GPT in the chat right now for me, and that'll be great. Want to know where you are, where you're starting as we start talking about this topic, because content is changing. Now, specifically, what myself and my agency does is we do video content. But guess what? Whether it's video, whether it's written, heck, even podcast content is all changing because of AI. And today, I'm going to try to do my best to demystify some of that for you as we get started here. All right. So buckle up. Here we go. So I'm gonna start you right here, and I want you to look at this here. And this is this is actually something that we had Chat GPT produce for us for our client. It's their ideal customer, topic, and pain point, and we got all of this from Chat GPT. Now, isn't that awesome? Isn't it awesome that we're able to produce this much content? Because what it helps you with is that thing called ideation. How often do we get to a place where we sit down and we say, hey, I need to come up with some content ideas, or I need to define my ideal customer, and we look at the blank page and we just scratch our head. We just scratch our head, right? And ChatGPT AI is able to help us do things like this. This is all the same thing, but here all in one page of all of what it produced for us. And the thing that we're going to be talking about today, because so often people go into these tools and they try to produce something like this and they struggle. And in that struggle, they say, it's not producing what I wanted. And what I'm going to tell you is all of this that I'm showing you here, We produced it by typing in one prompt. One prompt produced all of this fantastic content. Heck, you could even, with AI tools, produce this with just one prompt. Yes, that's Morgan Freeman. It's not, this picture never existed. This is AI generated of Morgan Freeman in a Christmas sweater with Morgan Freeman on the Christmas sweater, right? So not only can we produce written content, we can produce visual content, and we can even sometimes produce video content as well. And we're going to talk about how we get there and how you logically start to think about that. Okay. As we go. Now, you're dropping Chat GPT and so on and so forth, and AI tools. And here are two tools that are pretty big. Chat GPT is one. They've kind of taken the world by storm in the last really 4.5 months or so, almost 5 months. And then another one that's been around for a lot longer, especially in the content creation space, of Jasper.ai. If you don't know Jasper, check them out. Really great tool. Really, really great tool. And they're supposed to be like pressing the easy button. I mean, that's, if you've tried them, if you've heard about them, that's probably what you've heard. Oh my gosh, they make things so much easier. And so if you've tried any AI tool and it has made things easier for you, I want you to do me a favor right now. Drop in the chat easier. Just put easier in the chat, that it did make your life easier. Now, if some of y'all are typing in easier, then there are probably some of y'all who aren't typing anything in at all, because you feel like this. You push the easy button and that sucker felt like a kick in the head. So let me just pause right here and say, this was me. This was me in November of last year. So in November of last year, I got a frantic Slack message from a very good friend of mine. And she said, Atiba, have you tried this new thing called ChatGPT? Oh my gosh, I just did. And it is amazing for helping produce content. This is going to revolutionize everything. Now, she is one of the greatest content writers in the world. So when she said that to me, I said, whoa, that's a heck of an endorsement. So I went to Chat GPT, right, which is chat.openai.com. I went to Chat GPT and said, okay, she said this is so great, I'm going to try it. And I got all excited and I was saying, okay, this is going to be wonderful. And it asked me for a prompt and said, okay. So I typed in a prompt. And I typed in a prompt as I thought my staff might type something in. And the result that it returned was crap. I said, this is a waste. Why in the world would I want this? What it didn't make any sense. It wasn't relevant to anything that I actually cared about, or rather that my customer would have cared about. And so I just was like, yeah, I didn't have such a great time, was my response to her. Well, she kept talking about it and she kept talking about it. And so I decided to have someone on my staff try it. I said, you know what? I heard about this thing called Chat GPT. I want you to just go take a look at it, do a little research and try it out and see what you come out with. And about 48 hours later, that staff member sent me an email that she had written using Chat GPT. And I'm thinking, I read the email and I said, who wrote this? Because she didn't tell me it was Chat GPT. I said, who wrote this? Because it was beautiful and it sounded like me. And she said, well, I used a tool that you told me to try to do this. And then at that point, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what in the world did I do wrong? And maybe you're kind of there with Chat GPT and AI tools in general, where it sometimes can make you feel like you can't communicate because you're asking questions like Jim Carrey here, and you're just typing away and you're not getting back the response the way you think it should. You're not getting back quality the way you believe that you should. That's where I was in November. And then when my staff member was able to produce that article, I realized there's got to be something more here. There's got to be something that I missed that they picked up on. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about what I missed that they picked up on and how we have turned that and used that to create fantastic prompts that produce high quality content for us. Now, I got to take a pause right here. And Clarice, if there are questions, by all means, drop them in the chat for me. And I did forget to mention this in the beginning, and I want to say this as well. If you've used ChatGPT, okay, and you struggled with it, you've put a prompt in, you were like me in November, you put a prompt in and it didn't return the results that you wanted, and you have that prompt, you can go back to ChatGPT to your history, and you have that prompt, drop it in the chat. If we've got time at the end, I'll actually open up ChatGPT and diagnose your prompt. So here's what I need from you if that's what you're going to do. Drop your prompt into the chat. That's number one. And then number two, tell me what you were trying to get ChatGPT to produce for you. And let me see if I can help you diagnose that prompt and make it better for you before the session ends. So you can drop that in the chat. Okay. So the reality is you can communicate. You just need to know how to communicate with the AI tools. And I'm going to make a prognostication here. Okay. And here is my prognostication. And I'm let me sound like a real nerd for a moment. I'm real proud of myself because I often pronounce that word wrong, and I got it right twice in a row. I'm not going to say it a third time because I might mess it up saying it a third time. But here is my prognostication. 3 times in a row. Yay. With AI, smart people will get smarter and dumb people will get dumber. My friends, AI is a tool. It's not an answer. So yes, we're talking about the evolution of content. Yes, that is what we're talking about. But what we're not talking about is saying, hey, AI, go produce content for me that I'm then going to turn around and just publish. That's not what we're saying at all. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to tell you quite honestly is use AI as a tool that gets you to 60% done. If you're starting right now at 0, AI can get you as far as 60% done with your task of content production. You, the human, still need to add the additional 40% in. It still has to come from you. Do not take AI as gospel or the Bible and say, I'm just going to put what it said. It's just a tool. And I want to make sure that you hear that very carefully, because that's how smart people are going to get smarter. I want you to think for a moment. If you could have 60% of your day back, if you think about obviously you're in a conference right now, so not today. Don't get 60% of today back because you need to be here with us, okay? But take your average day at work. If you can get 60% of your average day back at work, how much more, how much new, how much innovation, how much creativity could you have about your job and your role, about your business? How much more could you produce? How much better could you produce? And that is how smart people will get smarter with AI, because smart people are going to realize that what AI is doing is giving me time back so that I can be more creative, that I can create better solutions. Because now I've got 60% of my day back. So that's how smart people are going to get smarter. Okay. Now, so going back to where we started, these were the prompts that I showed you in the beginning. And as I said, we used, or these are the results, excuse me, that I showed you in the beginning. And as I said, we used one prompt to produce all of this wonderful content that was great for our clients. And the process that we use to get there is something called prompt engineering. Now, I know that sounds like a big fancy term. I get it. And I've got a wonderful little definition here for you, right? Prompt engineering is the process of designing and crafting the text that is used to prompt a machine learning model. Okay, yes, sounds wonderful. Sounds like, depending on what you did, if you went to college and what you studied in college, there was always that engineering school. And it sounds like something that those guys and gals over there did if you weren't in the engineering school. And it might even sound a little scary. But let me let me go back and share something which was on this last screen here. Smart people ask better questions. That's what prompt engineering is. It's learning to ask better questions. That's what it is. In order to master AI, in order to have AI help you produce better content and get to that place where it's getting you to 60%, what you have to learn how to do is ask better questions and continually refine how you're asking questions and figuring out and studying how do I ask it better questions. And that's all prompt engineering is, my friends. So we're going to jump in and we're going to master some of the basics here with with prompt engineering, okay, and the structure. So the first thing is a prompt is a question, as we said, it's a question. And when we're structuring this question to ChatGPT or Google's Bard or any other large language model that you can put a prompt in, the first thing that you have to tell it is who is speaking. In other words, who do you want it to be? Because imagine you have just and I'm going to date myself a little bit here because I don't think kids do this anymore. Imagine you've just walked into a library that has every encyclopedia in the entire world, right? And when we were young and we walked into a library and there were tons of encyclopedias, you couldn't just walk in and say, help, right? Because you don't know what subject are we talking? Are you talking math? Are you talking science? What are we talking? Where do you need help? And so when you're coming in here and you're looking at ChatGPT and you're structuring a prompt, the first thing we need to do is narrow down who is talking, what the category we're talking about. And so here we use the term act as a or I am a. Right. And so in this case, as I said, we produce a lot of video content, right? Because we're a video content marketing agency. So act as a YouTube copywriter that knows video SEO. So now I've walked into the library and I said, hey, I want to go to the section on copywriting for YouTube video and specifically the area that talks about video SEO. And I want you to only consider that information. So don't tell me anything about dogs and dog training. That's not who I need you to think about right now. And that was the problem that one of the problems I made way back in November when my friend told me about ChatGPT. Okay. I just went in and said, write a blog post about, I don't even remember what it was, but say an orange shirt. Okay. Uh, yeah, it wasn't very specific. Right. And so here we're telling ChatGPT who we want it to act as. Now, what are the range of options here? Almost anything. So you could be a high school teacher. You could be a debate professor. You could be an electrical engineer. You could be a cable installer. You could be a 5-year-old child. And it will tailor its knowledge down to what a 5-year-old child will know about the topic that we're going to be discussing. Okay. So, very important. The very first step is you want to say act as a and define who you want it to be. Number two, who's your ideal customer? Who are you talking to? So we're creating content. We don't create content for the masses. We create content for an individual, for an ideal customer, the perfect customer. And so let me pause right there. If you're creating content and you're saying everybody should read this content or all of my customers should read this content, you're wrong. You want to create content for your ideal customer. Think about who your perfect customer is, and that is who you create content for. So here we want to define our ideal customer. And truthfully, the more specifics we give it, the more data we give it, the better. So here, my ideal viewer is business owners who want to hire virtual assistants. Now, I could go even further here and say, okay, it's accountants who want to hire virtual assistants. It's accountants who only do tax prep for Fortune 500 companies that want to hire virtual assistants. It could be accountants who want to do tax prep for Fortune 500 companies who want to hire virtual assistants from the Philippines, or virtual assistants who have a CPA um, background, right? You want to be as specific as you can about your ideal customer. So we told it who we wanted to act as, and we tell it who we're talking to. Who is our ideal customer? Because that then continues to frame it down. Because hey, we're not trying to talk to business owners who are trying to hire dog walkers. We're trying to hire virtual assistants. And we want to tell it that so it knows how to better write content for us. Number three, what do you want to produce? Yeah, you got to tell it what you want. That's the part that most people get. I want to write a blog. Write me a blog about balloons. Okay, it's just going to write a blog about balloons, but without the first two of, hey, I want you to be a copywriter writing, or I want you to write a blog to 8-year-old children who are writing book reports, right? And talking about your ideal audience. Without those things, just telling it what you want to produce is going to get you wild results that probably aren't going to be specific enough and good enough for you. So you tell it what you want, and if it matters to you, how many. So, for example, earlier today, I had a meeting with one of my our teams, and we're writing prompts for creating hooks to YouTube videos for a particular client. And so we're designing the prompt that's going to write the hooks for this client and their topics. And we said, okay, we want to present this client with 5 hooks so that they can choose one. So that's what we would put here. We would tell it, hey, please write 5 hooks. If you don't give it a quantity, sometimes it will write 1, sometimes it will write 20, sometimes it will write 7. It's just going to choose for itself. So you want to kind of hone it in and tell it, this is what I want. I want 5, or I want 1, or I want 4, whatever it is that you need. Okay. So that's number 3. And number 4, what's your topic or your question? What are we talking about here? Are we talking about balloons? Are we talking about dog walking? What are we talking about? Right? And In this case, it was about a guy, John Jonas, who created onlinejobs.ph, and how to spot mediocre employees in your company and why hiring the best talent is important. That's what I wanted to talk about. So you got to tell it that. Okay, so I want a blog post, or I want a YouTube description, or I want a headline for my Facebook ad, right? I want an idea for a Pinterest post. Okay, but then you got to tell it what topics you want to cover. All right. Um, all right. Let me see here. Is it possible to create blog articles that contain product placement from? Yes. So that's a really great question. So let me read the question. Is it possible to create blog articles that contain product placement from a specific website store using ChatGPT? The short answer to your question is yes. The long answer to your question is, so number one, in that, I would say in the prompt, you can actually feed it that information that, hey, we're going to be talking about this product, and that product. Okay, so that's one way that you can do that. And if it knows about those products because they've been online for a while, then it will actually ideate through that for you. The second thing, which just happened in like the last 3, maybe 4 days, is ChatGPT announced that coming soon, they're going to have plugins. So you're going to ask a question like that and say, from this website, and they're going to have a browser plugin that's going to be able to then go browse that website and find those products and use it in its response. So, yes, that is something that's coming. And I think we're all pretty darn excited about that. And I'm pretty sure you will be too. When that comes out. So that's a great question. Okay. Next question here. If you need text from ChatGPT in a language. So that's a great question. This next question is great, and it's all about language. So one of the things about ChatGPT and a lot of AI models is they know lots of languages. Lots. Lots of languages. Um, I don't remember off the top of my head the number of languages that ChatGPT knows, but it knows most. Well, it knows all of the major languages of the world and several of the dialects. Okay, so in that, what you can do is you can write in one language and tell it to respond in another language. Perfectly fine. You can write in Czech and it will respond in Czech. That works as well. You can write in English and tell it to respond in in Czech. All of those scenarios work. Likewise, you can also ask it to translate. So if you've got a passage and you need it translated, say, "Hey, please translate in in German," and it will do that for you. Okay. Two great questions. Thank you for those. Okay, so we've now covered the basics here, guys. These are the basics that you will see in a prompt, and the minimum that you need to do in order to get your prompts to produce a decent result. And this is what it looks like when we pull it all together, right? Act as a YouTube copywriter that knows video SEO. My ideal viewer is, which we talked about. Write a YouTube video description to attract, and then we actually repeat the ideal customer there. And I'll show you how we can clean that up later as well. The video title is, right? So in this case, I had a video title. We put that in, and we even had keywords. So here we wanted keywords to help it, and so we gave it the keywords, and the video covers these topics. Okay, is that making sense? If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. And again, if you've got prompts that you want me to diagnose, drop those in the chat as well, because we're now going to move on to mastering the basics. Mastering the basics. Okay. So you can tell ChatGPT examples of your desired output. So I don't know if you've had this experience. I know I have. That sometimes you will ask a question, a prompt of ChatGPT, and it will respond. And let's say you decide to ask it again, it may respond and respond differently. And so in one response, it may give you a list that's nested. In another response, you may get a table. In another response, you'll get something completely different. It'll be all prose, and you say, okay, that's not what I was looking for, structure wise or format wise. And so, how do I get it to respond similarly every single time? Or there may be an actual structure to your desired output. So we're going to cover both of those today and talk about how we do this. Okay, and so here is one. Um, so you can say, here are some great examples of great subject lines. So if you were writing subject lines, say in this case for an email, right? And you had some formulas of how you wanted the subject line, and that could be, hey, I only want it to be 50 characters long, 75 characters long. You can say, hey, here are some great subject lines. Here's how we use this. Okay. Um, Ryan Dice from Digital Marketer, he sends out fantastic emails. And in those emails, he often has some killer subject lines. We just farm his subject lines and we keep a list of them. And so when we need to go write new subject lines, we say, hey, here are some great subject lines. Here's my topic. Here's what I'm looking for. Write me some new subject lines. And here are some examples of what I think is great. And then it's going to then use the pattern of what Ryan Dice did to produce new ideas for us on our topics that will perform better. Okay. So you can give it examples of desired output. Number six, the structure of your output, which I was just talking about as well, is, do you want a list? Do you want a nested list? Earlier today, we were doing some video keyword research, which is something that you can do as well, right? And looking for ideas of how to consider keyword topics for video that we weren't considering before for a particular client. And we asked it for a list of keywords and semantically related keywords, right? So it was long, to be exact, it was long tail keywords and semantically related keywords. Well, it produced that for us in prose. Yes, it gave us a paragraph. Well, that's not really very helpful when we're looking at keywords, right? Nobody wants a paragraph of keywords that's comma separated. You're not going to read that easily. So instead, we said, hey, create this as an easy to read table. And then it returned long tail keyword, semantic keywords. And it was much easier to read. Okay. Likewise, let's say you're creating a post, and this is one that I love. Um, if you do social media and you've studied social media at all, you've probably heard people say you don't want to write long paragraphs in your social media, because if you write long paragraphs in your social media, then people aren't going to read it. You should just do short one sentence. Each sentence should be a different paragraph. Well, if you ask ChatGPT to help you write a social post, great. But it might write it all as prose in one big paragraph. Tell it, write each sentence as its own paragraph. Poof, brilliant. Now I've got the format that I need for my social media post. Okay, so structure of the output. Next, what's your writing style? So if you've been creating copy forever, you already have a writing model or models that you use. ChatGPT knows all of them. And even some of the more esoteric ones, you can train it. You can tell it, you can teach it how that model works. But from story brand to PAS to AIDA, it knows all of them and it will respond in that way. Okay. I'm seeing some questions coming in, so I'm going to hurry through these so I can get to your questions. I want to make sure I answer your questions before we go. All right. Number 8, there are additional constraints, topical exclusions. Yeah, I want to talk about this topic, but there's some certain subtopics I don't want to hit on. So tell it that. Don't talk about these things. Exclude these topics. Phrase exclusions. We write a lot of YouTube scripts with this, and it will say often in this video, I hate that. This video is about, I hate that. So we tell it, don't include those words, and it won't. Tonal suggestions. You want it to be sarcastic? It will be sarcastic. You want it to be funny? It will be funny. You want it to be clickbaity? It will be clickbaity. You can give it tonal suggestions of how to respond to you. Okay. Um, let's say you're writing a blog post and you want to ask questions as transitions between each paragraph to keep the reader reading. It will do that as well. Okay, so lots of different options here of what you can do. Okay, now, so this is how it all pulls together. And what I want to show you down here really, really quickly is you'll see I have ICP, which stands for Ideal Customer Profile, equals, and then you'll see in my actual prompt above. So this is all one prompt that we're going to put into ChatGPT. You'll see ICP, right? You'll see title, topics, keywords, and those are down here. And these act as variables. The reason we do this is so that it makes it a little bit more readable as you read the prompt, to make sure that the prompt is structured correctly, to take out all of this context and pull it into variables. What it also does is, if I've got to repeat the title multiple times in here for some reason, I don't have to repeat the title multiple times in there for any reason. Okay. So that's what the structure looks like. You'll get these slides as well, so you can screenshot this, or you'll get it later. Either way, so you can have that. Now, it means now it's about your turn. Okay. And you're probably in one of two camps. You're either like, yo, I'm super excited about this. Let's go. And if you are, meetatiba.com will take you straight to my LinkedIn profile. I would love to support you in your journey. And so if you've got questions, go to LinkedIn, connect with me. Don't just follow me. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's talk. Let me help you through. Send me prompts. Let's talk about it. I want to help you. Or you're sitting there and you're saying, Atiba, really? Like, you said this was engineering, and it really sounds and feels like engineering. I think I might skip this. No, you can't. You can't. But I can help you. And one of the things that we're working on right now is Atiba.ai, and it is, especially if you're looking to create video content, we are creating an AI tool that's going to help you create and ideate through all of the stages of creating video content. Okay. So basically, we're taking our entire process that we use for all of our clients and putting that into one tool that we're creating, so that you can now just come in and do it yourself, which will be really, really cool. I'm going to speed through some of these slides here, so I can get to your questions, but you'll be able to do content ideation. We'll have YouTube planner and also social media tools. So you can take your videos and turn them into social media posts as well. A couple of the pages here, I'm going to zoom through these. You can join the wait list right now. You just got to scan that QR code there, and you will be on our wait list as we develop this app and getting all the updates for what we're going to be doing. Okay, now let me jump into your questions that we have here. Okay. Yes, ChatGPT can do this for you. So the question is, I'm not a native English speaker, okay? And what I'd like to do is have ChatGPT help me produce content in English. Yes. So write the prompt in your native language, and then tell it, please only respond in English, and it will do that for you. Okay. Is content generated by, oh, I love this question, AI blocked in Google, or how is it going to help your or hurt your SERPs and your SEO? So I do a whole separate talk on that. And here's the deal. Google has been very, very clear about this. Google wants content that's going to help the end user, their customer. Okay. They want helpful content. That's why I say AI is a tool. It will get you to 60%. You still need to add in that final 40%. You cannot use AI generated content 100%. Here's why. Here's why. As we go, a lot of us are going to start asking questions and we're going to start getting similar answers. And if we're all publishing the same thing, it's not going to be helpful to the user. And we've done tests, and I've got a consortium of people who are doing tests that have proven that if you use that 60-40 model, it is not going to affect your SERP. But you've got to do at least 40% of your own original content, your own original thought added in to the AI model. Okay. Great question on that. How can we use ChatGPT for cold mailing campaigns? And this is a great question. Do me a favor, scan that. You'll get on my email list and then email me, because we also have a separate tool, which is that we've developed for someone else that I can share with you, which is a cold email traffic writer. And so it will actually write cold emails for you. Okay. That then you can edit and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's a great question there. Yes. So Leanna, you're asking about, is it important to formulate properly the prompt from the first try, or can you reformulate as you go and improve it based on what's received? So the purpose of of ChatGPT is that you can do that. Here's my point in that though. Okay. Leanna, I'm going to assume that you're busy. And I'm going to assume that you have a lot of things in your life that take up mental calories. And the last thing you need is a new one. And so my goal here with prompt engineering is to teach you the structure so that you can get the prompt right, or as close to right, on the first try. I see people and they send me in their screenshots of, hey, I modified this prompt 20 times. I don't have time to modify a prompt 20 times to get what I was looking for. I could just write it my own self if I was going to do all of that. And so I'm trying to cut that down as much as possible. So can you refine it? Absolutely, you can. And our goal is to limit how much you need to, because the last thing we need is something that will take up more mental calories. Okay. How long can a prompt be? What is the recommendation? Oh, and the best practices. Okay, this is a great question about how long a prompt can be. The world is changing with the answer to this question, and this is one of the beauties of AI. Number one, AI is not new. Um, the basic fundamentals of AI, and it wasn't called AI back then. I had a computer teacher teach me as a 14-year-old kid in high school. AI has been around for a very, very, very long time. It's just changed names over the years, and now everyone calls it AI because it's cool and sexy. Okay. Nobody likes data analytics anymore. It's a kind of boring term, but it's the same thing, right? I say all that to say that as things change, one of the things that's happened is when ChatGPT first came out, there was a limit theoretically of how long your prompt should be dogma. Okay, because there was a limit to how much ChatGPT could take in and how much it could return. Right, and that limit in total was roughly about 3,000 words ish. Okay, with the advent of ChatGPT, OpenAI 4.0, we have taken that limit, and now that limit has gone all the way up to 25,000 words. So Is there a theoretical limit? Yes. And that 25,000 is how much your prompt is and how much it returns combined. Okay. So is there a limit? Yeah. Is there really a limit? I mean, if you write a 25,000 word prompt, then, well, Dagmar, we might just need to get you into writing books.
It's a good point. Good point, Atiba. It's a very insightful session. I'm afraid we kind of ran out of time. So otherwise, we would love to have you continue to talk about ChatGPT for another hour or so. So I think that's also about as much questions. We've answered all the questions there is. So I'm very happy we've managed to get to all of those. So thank you very much. Do you have any last things to say before we go off?
Yeah. So again, I want to help you connect with me. So you can go to atiba.ai to sign up to be on the waiting list for our tool. You'll also get my email address. And then you can just flat out email me or go to meetatiba.com and just go to my LinkedIn. I want to talk to you and I'm not charging you for it. Okay. Straight up. Let's do it.
Awesome. Yes, let's get on to it. Thank you very much, Atiba, for your time today. Very excited for the rest of you who want to listen to the next session about link building audit. Please stay around. Otherwise, yeah, we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
This is all we got. Remember the revolution in our minds. This is all we got.
Lock me out of this life institution. I am angry and high on illusions. Yes, I hate, but it's not a solution. Try my best, but I'm just a human. Oh, we don't need to say we're sorry.